Something else that can occur during follow-ups is the prospect doesn't answer the phone at the time of the scheduled follow-up call. Here are a couple of ideas and tips about leaving messages for the prospect. Number 1, always be professional and upbeat. Don't play guilt games. Never say something like, I thought we had an appointment. Number 2, don't put the responsibility of the return call exclusively on the prospect. Share it. Number 3, always leave your phone number, say it slowly, and then repeat it. Frequency of follow-up calls. What I'm going to give you here are just guidelines for the frequency of your follow-up calls. They are meant only as a guideline. The day of the scheduled follow-up. Call 2 times, leaving only 1 message. Caller ID block is off for the first call, on for the second call. Here's an example of the message I would leave. Hi Josh, I'm calling at our scheduled time. I wanted to make sure you received the movie I sent you. I'm going to be in and out, but you can try to reach me at 801-785-6851. That number again is 801-785-6851. I'll also try to catch up with you a little later. I look forward to talking with you. Hope you're doing well. Over the next 7 days, call 3 times, leaving only 1 message. Caller ID block is off for the 1 call when you leave a message. Here's an example of that message. Hi Josh, wanted to help you get, and then state whatever their need 1 is, very briefly. You can try to reach me at 801-785-6851. Again, that number is 801-785-6851. I'll also try to reach you a little later. Hope all is well. The next 7 days, call 2 times, leaving only 1 message. Caller ID block is off for the 1 call you leave a message. The next 7 days, call 1 time and leave a final message. Caller ID block is off. If this final message is for someone in your cold market, here's an example. Hi Josh, I'm giving you a final call. I'm taking your lack of response as not being interested. I enjoyed meeting you and wish you success. If anything changes and you want to pick this up at a later time, give me a call. I'd like to help you. Bye-bye. If this final call is somebody that you know, here's what I recommend. Hi John, I'm giving you a final call. I'm taking your lack of response as not being interested. I enjoyed talking with you about it and hope that by me offering this to you, I've not offended you in any way. Our relationship means more to me than any business venture we might pursue together. Please call me back or send me an email and let me know if I've offended you. If I have, I want to clear it up. My email address is, then give the email address, and then say take care or goodbye or whatever it is, however you end the call. So to summarize the follow-up sequence, you're going to follow up for 3 weeks, making 2 to 3 calls per week. If your prospect still hasn't given you any indication of interest, you end with a final call. This final call is very important, not just for the prospect, but for you too. See, if this prospect is a friend or family member, a non-completion could stand between you and them forever. The reason someone doesn't accept your call or return your message is because they can't face telling you no. It's very shallow, but there is no other reason. They go into hiding because they can't face you. When you leave a final message, you're making it easy for them to come out of hiding. You've made it safe for them to face you again. When they do face you, don't start trying to talk them back into the business. They'll just go back into hiding. It's also very healthy for you to do this completion step. That way it's not suspended or iffy. They can always reopen it if they want to, but you need to conclude it after 3 weeks. There have been prospects who I followed up with much longer, but they were contributing to it, so I kept it open also. They were right on the verge of doing something, and so I continued as long as they were still contributing, even if a tiny bit. The final call is what you do when it's obvious from their no response that they're not interested. Also, this final call is like all other calls, very upbeat. You don't sound like you're giving up, or you're disappointed in them, or that you can't believe they're not willing to pursue their goals. Trust me when I say this, no doesn't always mean no over the long term. I've had many prospects contact me later because in their words, I was so professional. This has so much to do with how you leave this concluding call, and that you leave a concluding call. If you don't leave a concluding call, they feel they let you down, and this can cause them to not want to call you back even if they become interested at a later time. This also goes for people you're physically around, like someone at church or at work. If they seem like they're avoiding you, you need to go up and talk to them and give them this same conversation. It will put you both at ease and will allow your relationship with them to continue. The rule is, when in doubt, talk. If you feel someone is avoiding you, break that wall down. Don't do it too aggressively, and in order for this to work, you have to be willing to let them not want to join your business or not want your product. Allow them to say no. Not pretending to allow them to say no, but genuinely allow them to say no. For them to be a good prospect for you, they have to want it. Let's do a couple of quick live calls. This first one is our sweet lady from Algeria. Notice how I bring up her need-want on the message. Also the fact that I looked up her country and read the CIA reports on it.
You have reached 703. At the beep, please leave a message.
Hi Nadira, this is Tim Sales. I was scheduled to talk to you at 2. By the way, I did find out where Nigeria was. I actually looked it up on a map. Very interesting in terms of where you're from, and I reviewed all of the chaos that was going on there. And we certainly want to work hard to get your husband back here. That's absolute. I will try to reach you back a little bit later on. You can also call me back. My telephone number is 202. Again, that number is 202. And I will be up until about maybe 10 or 10:30 tonight. But again, I'm going to be in and out, and so I'll try to reach you back. All right, I look forward to talking to you. Bye-bye.
All right. The reason you tell your prospect that you will call them back as well as asking them to call you back is because if you just ask them to call you, then you have to wait until they call you. Because if you call them again, you would be bugging them. But if you say on the message, I'm going to be in and out, try to reach me, and I'll try to reach you also. You've kind of authorized yourself to call again as well as requested them to call you. This next live call is with Catherine. She hadn't watched the DVD. Notice the way I do a quick restoration of her wants and then close to action.
Hello?
Is Catherine there?
Yeah, it's me.
I'm Tim Sales. I am calling you back on our scheduled time.
Oh my God, is a week gone by already?
It has. You must not watch the video.
No, I didn't. No, I'm sorry.
It's all right. That's all right.
Yeah.
Hey, life comes in, right?
It sure does.
You did get it, though.
I did.
Okay.
I did, and it's on my to-do list.
Your to-do list.
Uh-huh.
All right. Well, when do you think you'll get down that far on that list?
Okay. Could you give me another week? I just have to finish some traffic school this week, and then I should be free to do something like that.
Traffic school?
Yeah.
You a speeder?
Not usually, but I guess I was that day.
Oh, not a problem at all.
Okay.
Absolutely. Hey, I have a quick question. I was thinking about something over the week. When you say that you want to do more volunteer work and that you would, go down and help the people in Florida, things like that, what kind of stuff do you actually do with them? It was like, how do you help them?
Make sure the Red Cross has their hands full, I know, and FEMA has their hands full. So you basically, my church would supply them with organization and maybe some kind of assist them spiritually so that they're calmed down and things of this nature. It's like a one-on-one type of thing. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. I was just thinking about it after we got off the phone. I was like, I wonder what it is that she actually would be doing. And
yeah, actually, there's a people within my church called the volunteer ministers. So they would have a game plan, and you just go and you show up, and you go, great. They go, this is your job, whatever that would be.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
that's really, really terrific.
Yeah.
Really awesome. Well, I want to help you do that.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Yeah, I really would. I want to help you do that.
Okay.
So I will. So you need another week. So I will call you next Friday. Is that what you want?
That'd be great, and I promise I will have listened to it by then. Yeah, I feel
okay.
kind of bad. So.
It's all right, really.
Okay.
I understand, and I do look forward to talking to you about it. And so next Friday, um, you mean to call you morning, afternoon?
Just usually the same time's fine.
Okay.
Late afternoon.
All right. So why don't I call you next Friday at 3 o'clock?
Okay.
All right. Look
I'll
forward to
talk to
talking to
you
you.
then. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, one more live call here. This is just a funny one. I had done a good call with a man named Richard, sent him the video, and he had replied with an email telling me he was really excited about it. I then call him, and his wife answers the phone. Listen to what happens.
Domino's Pizza, how can I help you?
Domino's Pizza. This isn't Richard Dye's place?
No, it is not. Who's calling?
Is this Domino's Pizza?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
Yep, she was trying to stop me from reaching her husband. All right, now that was all the things that can happen on follow-ups. I don't know if you caught something as I've gone through the follow-up portion here, but on the follow-up call, you're basically going right back through the inviting formula. When you do your follow-up call, you do a short greeting. You qualify your prospect by asking them if they've watched Brilliant Compensation. You invite them to look at your company. You handle any questions and objections that arise. You close them to action. You follow up or follow through. That should simplify the whole follow-up process for you. That completes the follow-up section and completes the inviting formula. So let me quickly summarize up to here. Business is making people's life better. Your network marketing company has created a product or service that you feel can make people's life better. You are the person to communicate how that product or service can make the prospect's life better, and you use the inviting formula to locate a person's needs, wants, or don't wants, and expose your business or product to them if they qualify by inviting them to look at some materials, handle any questions or objections that come up, close them into action, and then follow up. You've learned quite a bit here. A couple of more things you need to know before we end off. The next subject is how to get prospects. Perhaps you would have thought that I would have put that at the beginning of my training, but my experience is that people can't hear how to get prospects until they feel confident that they would know what to say to the prospect. So that's the reason I explain communication and the inviting formula first. The way you find prospects is by promoting. As I stated earlier, the word promote means to make known, and to the degree that you promote is the degree you will have prospects. Promotion is limited only by what a person can see or hear. So any way a person can receive a communication, you can promote. So that could include advertising in the newspaper, advertising in magazines, there's direct mail like sending out postcards to everyone in a zip code, there's television, there's radio, there's email, banner ads on the internet, there's hiring executive search firms, there's buying leads, then there's networking. I'm sure you could have guessed that I would name that one, but you would be surprised at how many people mentioning all the ways to promote miss that one. I'm going to spend the majority of the time talking about networking, but let me briefly give you my view of the other types of promotion. Whether it's newspaper advertisements, postcards, door hangers, internet, television, radio, all the other ways you've heard, they all fall under the subject of marketing. Marketing is defined as creating desire for your product, service, or business. You can throw an enormous sum of money and time at these marketing efforts and yield very little. I know, I've done it. It took me years to develop the skills to write marketing advertisements that would get a good return. Marketing is actually a whole other profession you have to learn if you head in that direction. To do it right, you have to promote the benefits of your product or service or business to the audience that is most likely to desire it. So logically, you have to correctly locate and find that audience, and then you have to make yourself known to them by delivering a marketing communication that causes them to respond. If the response is sufficient enough, you then promote it more heavily. You can do even better if you do surveys of your target audience to find out what it is about your product or business that they would benefit from. See, the difference is that if you write the benefits, that's only you thinking you know what everyone else will respond to, but that's rarely the case. I spent $27,000 to have a survey company tell me exactly why people took supplements. I had my own ideas why people took supplements, but I couldn't have been more wrong compared to what the surveys returned. But boy, was it valuable to me. By the way, I wrote 2 brochures off those surveys that are really effective when selling supplements. If you're in the business of selling supplements, or if you've ever been interested as to the effect nutrients have on your body, you should take a look at them. The point I'd like to make on this is that in all the ways to promote mentioned, I've determined that it's impractical, not cost effective, and not time effective to have a networker learning all these ways to promote. It just distracts and frustrates them. So the only 3 areas of promotion that I recommend are: number 1, networking; number 2, purchasing leads from a good leads company; number 3, newspaper advertising. And I recommend them in that order. First is networking, second is purchasing leads, and third is newspaper advertising. I would just say networking, but many people have already talked to their network several times and perhaps did it without the inviting formula, and so maybe those networks aren't so open anymore. Also, other types of promotion, newspaper ads and buying leads, open new entry points into networks. So I feel it's essential to always promote, so you're always establishing points of entry into new networks. So let's talk about newspaper advertising and buying leads. I'll talk about newspaper ads first. Depending on the size of the newspaper, you're looking at spending $100 to $500 a week for 3 lines. And sometimes you will yield nothing. I repeat, sometimes you will not get a single call. Also, be prepared before you call for the rep at the classified section of the newspaper to interview you. They will ask questions like, what kind of position are you offering? What is the address of the business? When is the position available? Make this newspaper rep your ally. Once you're in with a rep and you become a repeat customer, you can get special deals. Once your phone number has been given, your account is attached to it, so be prepared for that. What they're looking for is whether there is an investment. If there is any investment, you must put your ad in the business opportunity section. They will not let you put your advertisement in the sales and marketing help wanted section. You will not get near the response, although the response you will get will be more qualified. Your best return is in the sales, marketing, employment section. If you say there is not an investment, expect a phone call from the newspaper to the number you gave them. Now, I have paid the sign-up fee, not a product purchase, just the $35 sign-up fee for my company for people joining my business from ads. This was the only way I could get around this requirement at the newspaper company. That way, when the rep asked me if there was an investment, I could say no. Once you have an ad that pulls more than 15 calls a week, try to lock the newspaper into a monthly or quarterly rate, at a discount, of course. I recommend you have a separate phone line for advertisements and have a professional greeting. When that phone line rings, answer it professionally. As long as you follow the inviting formula, no matter who calls, you'll be fine, even if it's the newspaper rep. Now, you can put that number in the advertisement, but I've found the very best way to route prospects to you from newspaper ads is via faxed resumes. Second option is that when your prospect calls, let it go to voicemail with a brief professional message and a fax number where they can send their resume to. I don't recommend you leave a long message that starts out with, just imagine if you had invested in Microsoft in 1980. Use something professional like, we're accepting resumes from interested candidates for a sales and marketing position in the blank field. Fax resumes to, and then give your fax number. Then add on this message. Please use a cover sheet and indicate 3 times in the next 6 days you can be reached. Alright, that should help you quite a bit with newspaper ads. You just got about 5 years of knowledge and experience right there. But again, that's my second best recommendation to you. Let me tell you a little bit about buying leads and why I recommend it over ads, as well as all other types of marketing. When you promote using postcards, if you do well, you'll send out 1,000 postcards and get 20 calls. That means you paid for 980 cards that didn't get a response. You also spend time writing your promotion, time designing, time printing, time buying addresses, and unless you pay someone to do it, you're sticking labels and stamps on the postcards. Very common to spend a week getting a postcard promotion out to only yield 10 responses. When you buy leads from a good company, you're paying only for qualified leads. While I'm on the subject of leads, let me explain something. BrilliantExchange.com, the company that I put into place to serve the network marketing industry, didn't used to sell leads. But people who were subscribers to our Brilliant Compensation movies kept asking what leads company we recommended. In addition, some of the subscribers would buy lists and send out the movies to a large group of leads and then get in trouble for spamming. When we would talk to them, they weren't bad people. They just simply bought leads from a company that claimed to be reputable, but were not. We started doing our own research, and we bought leads from many of the companies that sell leads, and we would test them to see which leads were the best. What we found was that sometimes the leads were good for a while, and then they would not be good. So we started figuring out that what the leads companies were doing were reselling their leads, sometimes 20 to 50 times or more. Imagine calling a prospect who has been contacted 20 to 50 times prior to you calling them. Whoa, that's bad. We also found that some companies would capture names from giveaway sweepstakes and sell them as business seekers. That's really bad. I'm not making this up. I sat on Madison Avenue, New York, in one of the largest marketing companies in the world asking them questions about leads. I was not impressed with what I heard. It disgusted me at how they were taking advantage of people. You have the poor prospect that gets hammered by all the people who bought their name. Man, they'll never fill out another form again for the rest of their life. They become scared to death to give anyone their name again. You also have the poor networker who calls this lead and is the 20th or the 30th networker to call them. He gets cussed out and hung up on by very angry leads. So we finally decided that we needed to take responsibility for finding really good leads for our subscribers, and we have. You could hear in my live calls how open those prospects were to hearing from me. I had no hostile prospects. Did you hear that every lead remembered filling out the form? This is because they are real time, which means as soon as the prospect fills out the form, it instantly comes directly to you. If you're at your computer, you can call them within a few minutes of them answering the advertisement. Also, on a limited basis, there are real-time local leads. This means you can subscribe to certain area codes and get leads in that area. There is not a better lead than these, but they are limited. Once a person locks up a particular area code, they normally don't give up that area code because the leads are so good and they're local. All the purchased leads that I did live calls with on Professional Inviter were real-time local leads. Let me have you hear a couple of live calls from another lead source who promised us these were the best leads available, and you can compare them to what you heard from my earlier live calls.
Hello?
Hello, is this Heather?
Yep.
Hi, Heather. My name is Tim Sales. Did you order a package called I Got There, You Can Too? From a TV commercial, perhaps?
I'm sorry, what was it?
It was called I Got There, You Can Too. It was a package. It was free. I think there was some shipping or something like that attached to it. But
Hold on, because someone's on the other line and I can't hear.
Okay.
Okay. Can you repeat that one more time?
You bet. I'm sorry. It was a TV commercial called I Got There, You Can Too. And then you would have gone to a website, something like forfreekit.com, and ordered a package. You don't know what in the world I'm talking
about. No, I don't.
Hey, this is Tim.
Hey, did someone just call this number?
Yes, I just called this number. Are you Julie?
Yes.
Hi, Julie. My name is Tim Sells. Did you order a package called I Got There, You Can Too? Television. Uh-oh. No.
I'm
not busting you. Don't worry.
I don't even have a credit card.
Okay. All right. I got your number and I got your name because you ordered something from a package called I Got There, You Can Too, off of something, there's a website like forfreekit.com.
Unless someone used me, I'm not sure.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Is this Ken?
I'm he.
All right, I'm he. I'm Tim. I'm calling to find out if you ordered a package called I Got There, You Can Too, from a TV commercial.
Wow, jeepers.
Test question. Tick, 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 tick.
Yeah, it doesn't ring a bell.
Doesn't ring a bell. You would have gone to a website, something like forfreekit.com, something like that.
Hey, you know what? I was there yesterday, and they had me jump through so many hoops, I decided not to have to go through all that. Is it free?
It is free. I think there was like $3 or $4 to shipping, but what was it that caused you to be interested, even if to a degree of looking through the
There was something about winning a free digital camera, or getting a free digital camera, or something like that. I gave my email address, and last night I got a whole bunch of junk email, and I'm furious. I'm absolutely furious. How dare you do that to my email address?
Okay, well, I didn't do that to your email address.
Well, whoever it was, man.
Yeah, I got it.
So what is the deal? So you call? You caught me at a bad time here. Can you give me a call back tomorrow afternoon?
You bet I can. Sorry I bothered you, man.
Okay.
All right, bye-bye.
Okay, I think you can now tell the difference between a good and a bad lead. All right, let's move on. Now, as it relates to buying leads and advertising in newspapers, things like that, it's important for you to budget your time and money effectively. The reason I recommend buying leads is that it gives you the greatest return on your money and time. Here's how I personally budgeted my money in the very beginning. Obviously, being on a military salary didn't leave me a lot of money to spend on my business, but that was okay. Everyone starts somewhere. I started out budgeting about $400 a month of my military income towards promoting my business. Primarily, that was newspaper ads. I didn't know of lead sources back then. Today, if I had it to do over, I would put about $300 a month towards leads. The remaining $100 I would put towards presentation tools and meeting costs. Do not spend your profits, though. Invest them into more promotion. That was one of the really smart things that I did all along. Whenever I made profits in my business, I put all of it towards promoting my business. So that's newspaper advertising and purchasing leads. Now let's talk about networking. A professional networker is someone who utilizes networks of people to find anything and everything, including prospects. A network is simply a cluster of people who have a common interest. Let's pretend we're looking at a family. Let's call it the Jones Family Network. The Jones Family Network starts with the mother and father, plus their 4 children, for a total of 6 people. But that's not the Jones Family Network. That's just the original Joneses. Each of those family members are really points of contact into the network. One of the children is a senior in college and is a member of California Alumni Association as well as the Lifelong Learning Club. Her best friend's dad is a doctor at one of the largest hospitals in the Bay Area. The other 3 children of the Jones Family Network are boys. One went to college and is now an engineer. The other 2 are in construction. The 3 boys are all married. So my question to you is, how many people are in the Jones Family Network? Now, something very common today is people researching and building their family tree. And I've seen some pretty large family trees. But let's take this a step further. I want you to visualize something. Suppose for a research project we were to try to find how many people were connected in some way to the Jones Family Network. We would start with the family tree of everyone living. Grandparents, brothers and sisters of the grandparents, parents, brothers and sisters, aunts, uncles, cousins, nephews, and nieces. Now, imagine if the family tree also included every friend, business colleague, church acquaintance, and the friends and families of the grandparents, brothers and sisters of the grandparents, parents, aunts, uncles, cousins, nephews, and nieces. You're now probably talking about tens of thousands of people. And if you viewed each of those people as entry points into their networks, you would eventually connect to everyone in the world. If your purpose is to be a professional networker, you must understand the game. You must see the big picture. And the big picture is we're all connected together. It gets even more interesting when you realize that we all require each other to exist. If people didn't need or want their life to be better and be willing to pay for it, you yourself couldn't make enough money to have what you need and want. Can you see that? We all depend on one another to live. You get the picture of what I'm trying to say? Everyone is connected together. By what? Other people. So each individual person has a network of people that they personally know. That's a definition of a network, the people you personally know. That is also what is meant when someone says your warm market. It's all the people you personally know. Then if you're married, your spouse has a network. Of course, some of the people are in your network that are also in your spouse's. It would have to be that way, otherwise we wouldn't all be connected together. How does a networker use these networks? You move into a new town. You want to find a dentist. You ask the next door neighbor what dentist they use. They tell you. That's networking. People also call this by word of mouth advertising. What about some other networks? A neighborhood is a network. Everyone in your church is part of a network. Everyone at your high school is part of a network. Everyone at your work is part of a network. I was in the Navy and stationed on board a ship that had about 700 men on it, so therefore everyone on that ship is part of my network. Everyone is a part of several networks. I hope you're starting to get a clue where I'm going with this. Let's inch forward. Picture that you are standing in a movie line that has 10 people in the line. What is it that actually links people together? These 10 people can stand there and never know each other. What is it that actually links people together? Communication. These 10 people have in common that they're all seeing a movie at the same theater. But if no one communicates, there is not a connection to the entry point of a network. Communication is the link between people and networks. If the person who is selling tickets in the movie booth tells the first person in line that the movie that they want to see is sold out, and person number 1 tells person number 2, but 2 doesn't tell person 3, the link is broken. That will cut off everyone below it. What does that tell you? Some people further communication and some people stop it. Obviously, it's going to be pretty difficult to be a professional networker if either you stop communications or someone in your organization stops communication. Pretty funny, but I actually had someone in my organization who didn't communicate. I started asking him questions about this, and he told me that he wasn't a people person, and he didn't like talking to people. We dug into it quite deeply, and I was able to help him, but he basically had some things in his past that caused him to be afraid of communicating. This is a real problem in any profession, especially networking. Similarly, when someone alters communication, altering means to change it. Maybe they embellish what was said, or they leave out important information within the communication. The more people alter communication, the more people begin to not trust communication, particularly the person who alters the communication. Once communication isn't trusted, it becomes noise instead of communication. If you alter communication, you will end up stopping communication because people will not trust you. A great example of this is stock market analysts. It used to be that a stock market analyst was very valuable and highly respected. They would analyze a company and put out their recommendation as to whether the public should buy the stock or not. People would follow their advice and invest their money. Then several of them were caught recommending companies that they owned shares in, and then selling their shares right after they recommended others buy it. This created a lot of distrust. Now, when analysts come on TV or radio, people don't listen to them. Analysts have become communication noise. What I'm pulling together for you is the traits of a networking professional. One of the key components of an effective networker is that they get the reputation for being someone people can trust. Their word is their bond. People trust them. With that, they gain the respect of their network. They become influencers of their networks. By influencers of their networks, I mean that when they suggest something to the individuals of their networks, they listen. That is the reason you find tell the truth as one of the communication qualities. It's also why I frequently bring up things like don't accept pirated copies of sales or training materials. If you get a pirated copy of something from someone, don't trust that person and stop doing business with them. They will not go far in business and will eventually destroy your business and your reputation. Hand the material back to the person and say, I prefer to build my reputation by being honest. This will eventually cause this dishonest person to straighten up so they can have success. This also goes for sneaking into a meeting room without paying. Normally there's a $5 to $10 charge for a business meeting if you're a distributor. But if you're a guest, you can come in for free. The dishonest upline will tell the new distributor to just tell the person taking the money at the door that they are a guest, which is a lie. When someone does something that they feel is against their moral code, they feel rotten about themselves. Imagine a person has built a small group of 10 people. Each of these people he's told to sneak into the room. So basically he's built a group who all feel rotten about themselves. If anyone suggests that you sneak in without paying, tell them you are honest and that you prefer to pay. This eventually stops this person from spreading dishonesty and will straighten this person out so that he can be successful and earn the respect of his network. The only other thing that gets this respect and influence is results. When someone gets good results in what they do, they rise in status and influence within their networks. And what does rising in influence give somebody? People who have influence over their networks, call them network influencers, trendsetters, gurus, or anything else, they have the respect of their networks. People trust their advice and direction. When they suggest something, people follow them. They have the ability to influence the opinion of their network. When you get a network influencer communicating with other network influencers, which is normally the way it works, you get very rapid expansion. Get 1 or 2 network influencers of large networks in your business, and it can go from 5 people to 500 people in a month or 2. In network marketing, there is a phrase that gets thrown around a lot. It's called circle of influence. Its meaning has gotten lost. The way the meaning has gotten lost is that when you join a network marketing company, you're asked to write a list of names from your circle of influence. The term circle of influence has come to mean write a list of people you know. That is not the definition of circle of influence. Let's define circle of influence. Circle means a group or people sharing an interest, activity, or achievement. So that's the same definition as the word network. The definition of the word influence means power to sway or affect. So the definition of circle of influence is power to sway or affect your network. That's the reason I use the term network influencer. I used it on this audio for 2 reasons. One is I didn't want you to become confused by circle of influence since so many people in network marketing use it to mean people you know. The other reason is that I want you to see that it is people. No, it's a person who is a network influencer. When you meet people, I want you to start looking for that trait in them. See with your own eyes what kind of influence someone has over their network. And the identifying traits of a network influencer are honesty in what they communicate and their results. When you're at a social event, see who it is that everyone seems to listen to. Watch people who are talking to this person. Are their eyes everywhere else, or are they riveted on this person? Why am I bringing this up? Everyone has what I'll call a degree of influence. A person in a small town who works in a gas station, has a wife and child and no other family in the area. His wife is a homemaker. They don't attend church. They just don't interact with people. Who does he influence? His wife and child. So he does influence his network. It's just a very small network. Take this up a notch. Let's suppose another person lives in a city. She's a manager in a software company. She teaches Sunday school at church, is a member of the Internet Society, and is a frequent speaker there. See how she has a larger network that she influences? So everyone has varying degrees of influence. Sometimes your influence is so high, all you need to say is, take a look at this. Done. They will come and look at it. No questions asked. Think of Warren Buffett, who is tied with Bill Gates as being the richest man in the world. He made his wealth by investing in companies. He is the most respected man in the investment world. His influence status is so high that if he called and said, I have something for you to look at, CNN would show up with their cameras. Very high influence status. Other times your influence status is below the person you're talking to. That's okay. Mine started very low. Be honest and get results and it will come up. Your job as a networker is to communicate your way to these network influencers, but you have to be a professional. People will open their networks and continue to open their networks to you as long as you don't blow it by damaging anyone. This is where the inviting formula comes in. See, if you qualify someone and see that they're happy where they are and they don't qualify, you don't invite them. Then you've just had an enjoyable conversation with someone and that's all. If they do qualify, you take them to the next level, professionally. When you network through and find a network influencer, make sure you really do the inviting formula. Sometimes when you're working with a network influencer, the greeting can take a long time. There have been times where I've met people and immediately saw that they were the influencer. We swapped business cards. I sent him an email within 24 hours saying that it was nice to meet him. Then within a week, I'd send him something that supported something I learned about him. Let's use as an example, if I knew he liked golf, I'd send him something on golf or ask him something about golf. Then I'd ask him where he plays golf. Pretty soon I'd ask him to join me in a game of golf. See, what I taught you about greeting people and meeting people really comes into play here. You put the focus on an item and then you slowly move it to the person. You keep doing it until they start to contribute to the relationship. Slowly, that third entity begins to form. When you can make this person's life better in some way, golf, babysitting their dog while they're on vacation, then greeting steps become very meaningful. And you get this influencer to open up and talk freely to you. Now, you obviously can't do this long greeting with everyone. But when you're working with someone's network and you locate a real network influencer, I highly recommend it. Now that we've gotten through the professional networking section, I want to repeat something I said earlier because it's really key. Once you get a qualified prospect through a purchase lead or a newspaper advertisement, then network your way into that prospect's network. That's the key to making leads pay off big time. I never view a purchase lead or newspaper lead as a final thing. I always view that lead as an entry point into a network. That concludes my discussion about being a professional networker. I have one final discussion I wish to have with you. It will perhaps give you a larger view of what network marketing is all about. As I've described, I broke network marketing into 3 chunks to learn: invite, present, and train. I broke them apart only for the benefit of learning it myself, because when something is massive, I get overwhelmed and stop doing it. But they are not separate. They are one continuum. The 3 chunks were just where I decided to stop one section and put it on this CD. That doesn't mean it ends here. It most certainly does not. See, when you pick up the phone and call someone and do the inviting formula, you're going to locate what a person needs, wants, and doesn't want. Once you've gotten this very valuable thing, you're going to lock arms with this person and do everything possible to get them this thing that they want by training them how to get it. The reason I'm bringing this up is that I'm taking responsibility for teaching you how to do something that can actually harm people. If you use the inviting formula, you will sponsor people. I'm sure of it. I know how effective this is. If you sponsor someone and then don't train them and don't ensure that they get this thing they want, then you've harmed this person. You said you'd help and you didn't. Picture the military. They teach a young neophyte. A neophyte is a beginner or a novice at something. But they teach this young neophyte how to shoot a gun. This young boy masters how to shoot a gun and hit his target. They teach him how to take the gun completely apart and put it back together blindfolded in under a minute. The military doesn't take responsibility for the dead person on the other end of the gun. Nor does the military take responsibility for the mental health this boy is going to go through because of the dead men on the other end of the gun. I don't have an agenda with this conversation concerning the military. You already know that I was in the military and in a very elite part of the military. I've just pointed your eyes at a very obvious group that doesn't take responsibility for what it teaches. This inviting formula is very effective at sponsoring people, and in the hands of an irresponsible person, a lot of damage can be done. And I'm saying this particular part because I want you to keep your eyes focused on the big game, which is get people what they want. Don't use this tool to sponsor people for the sake of sponsoring people. Part of the damage that we as a group in network marketing must repair is sponsoring people and then not training them. I often hear that old cliche, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink it. Well, that might be true for horses, but we're not horses. And if you had just asked the horse if he wanted water in the first place, you could have saved yourself the trip to the stream. It is true that you can't make people do something, but there's a big difference in finding out what somebody wants, telling them that you will help them get it, and then saying, okay, I've done my job, here's the business that can deliver what you want, and then leaving them alone, versus finding out what they want, telling them you'll help them get it, and then training them every step of the way. If they're after this thing they want, and they suddenly quit, do you think they changed their mind about wanting this thing? No! They ran into something they couldn't do, or they put their focus back on a bug. And that's where you come in. You knew there was something he couldn't do, otherwise he'd already have this thing he wants. You have to help him all the way until he gets it. And one last point on this. At every failure is the option to put the blame on either the person failing or the upline. So who should take this blame? When a student in school fails a test, is it the student to blame? Or is it the teacher? When a child grows up and is destructive in our society, is he to blame? Or is it his parents, the school, the church, the child's friends that are at fault? Now that I've opened your mind to seeing it way beyond just network marketing, let me bring it back to just network marketing. Normally, each blames each other. The upline blames the downline blames the upline. The answer to this mystery question is, there is no solution in blaming. See, blaming doesn't solve anything. You can only solve this by taking responsibility for it. Let me give you the definition for the word responsibility. This definition comes from the Encarta Dictionary. Being the source, cause, or reason something happens or it doesn't. There's only a solution in the downline taking 100% responsibility to get all the knowledge he or she needs to be successful. And there's only a solution in the upline taking 100% responsibility in ensuring the downline knows the information and the techniques of how to do it. I'm not saying that either side couldn't blame the other. I'm saying that it doesn't do any good to blame. It's just simply a waste of time to blame anyone. By blaming, you're really only blocking your view to a solution. It's only productive to take responsibility. So the downline should never claim the upline didn't help them. Why? First reason, it doesn't do any good. And, well, it's your thing you want. Do everything it takes to get it. And the upline should never blame the downline for not succeeding because it doesn't do any good. There's great productivity in the upline saying, I've not been able to get Roger this thing he wants. What's a creative way to teach him how to greet people? Maybe if I taught him 3 scripts and worked with him until he felt really comfortable, and then took him to a party and walked him around and had him greet everyone and start conversations, I could get him feeling more comfortable at greetings. There's great productivity in that. Why? Because it might work. There's no productivity in saying, that Roger, he just doesn't want it. He didn't even come to the meeting. So let me summarize these last 2 subjects I've brought up. Take responsibility for those you sponsor. Again, the definition is being the source, cause, or reason something happens or it doesn't. And number 2, don't blame anyone, not even yourself, because that's unproductive too. Just take responsibility. All right, we've spent quite a lot of time together, and I appreciate you listening, and I hope I've made your life a little better. I'm putting something else together called Master Inviter. It's to take your learning of this subject, inviting, to a higher level. I don't have all the details yet, but what I do know is that it'll be a live training, and it'll take several days to complete. It'll have a lot of drills in it. I've written about 40 so far. They're all designed to get you great at communicating. We'll start off with first getting you really comfortable about being around other people. Then we'll get you able to look someone in the eye and not be worried about or thinking anything while you look at them. Then we'll get you good at greeting, have you learn it very well, then go out and actually greet people. We'll get you really good at qualifying. I've got a lot of drills in this one so that you absolutely know with certainty when someone qualifies and when they don't. You'll prove to me that you can handle all objections. You'll know how to handle every situation that comes up in the follow-up. I've even set up some not-so-fun drills where I have a bunch of people tell you they're not interested. This way you don't have a fear about people telling you no anymore. Oddly, this sometimes holds a person back from going out and prospecting. Anyway, it'll be a lot of fun, and most of all, you will master inviting. If you don't, I won't let you go home. Also, I'm going to make myself available to help you learn inviting because it is the key to the business. If you have a group of 20 people or more and want to do a private conference call with me, contact my staff. Now, I must warn you that I'm not one of these trainers who is just going to talk to you. You will make phone calls, and you will get better at inviting. I've been known to push people a little bit. As one lady said, when you're around him, there is no comfort zone. I'm telling you this because sometimes people ask for help but are quite uncomfortable with my training. They've gotten very used to pretending to do the business, and I kind of break that cycle, and it causes a person to squirm a little bit. No, they squirm a lot. But man, when I see that person hang up the phone and they jump so high that their head nearly hits the ceiling, I personally wiggle like a little puppy. So here's your homework assignment. Go out today and make someone's life better. I respect you and I admire you. Go flourish and prosper. You deserve it. I'm Tim Sales.
Professional Inviter recordings and transcripts are copyright 2004 by Up Statistics Corporation. Any unauthorized translation, duplication, importation, or distribution is a violation of applicable laws and will be prosecuted to the full extent of the law.